Hi everyone, this is Tom from Independent Travelers, and for my first tutorial I'm going to show you how to make an itinerary and budget. Now this document is really important in travel planning. It's one of the first steps that you're going to take, and note that it is a document that you can continuously revise prior to making all your final decisions and doing your booking. So let's start with this very important first step. So to be organized, we're going to use Excel. I'm going to shrink myself. All right, so I already prepared some headings for our columns. So we have date, destination, type of transportation, and then these four categories of expenses. Transportation expenses, accommodation expenses, your daily expenses, and other expenses. Okay, so I'm going to go with the example of doing a trip to London, very popular summer destination. And if I am a smart independent traveler, I will have already have my dates blocked off from work or any other responsibilities I have. So let's say the first 2 weeks of August. So just going on Google Flights, we can start searching and see what our options are for those first 2 weeks of August. So I'll type in London as my destination. Toronto is my origin. And on Google Flights, they already start showing prices of flights, starting at, okay, May looks good, but August is peak season. You're not going to see prices quite as low. So since it's the first 2 weeks of August, I'm going to say that I can leave on Saturday, August 5th, and be able to return Sunday, August 20th. Okay, so this is a pretty average price right here, $9.98. Not bad for summer, actually. If you do wait too long, those prices will likely go up. There is a chance they can go down, but I'll talk about that in another video. We're just doing our first steps right now, okay? So let's choose this flight right here from Air Transat. So that's $9.98 for one person. Now I want to make that for two people, okay? All right, so I chose my outbound and my return flight. Everything looks good to me. These are direct flights. And the cost will be $19.96 for two people. I will just round that off to $2,000. So for my date, no, not that, August 5th. Okay, and we're going to say that we know that our trip is going to run from August 4th to August 20th. Okay, our first destination is London. Now, I am going to put it here because technically I'm still in Toronto on August 4th. I won't get to London until August 5th. So the transportation really is just getting to the airport. So, you know, let's say airport taxi or airport Uber, airport train, whatever. And then London, we have obviously the flight there, which is Air Transat. And then we also will be taking the train on the airport. Okay, so we have airport taxi in Toronto for two people. We'll say $40. Okay, if you don't live too far from the airport. Air Transat plus train, so our Air Transat flight is $2,000. And if you've done a little bit of research, you can estimate that per train cost, or train cost per person, one way will be about 20 Canadian dollars, we'll say. Okay, so we'll just add another $40 for two people to take the train from the London airport to the city. Now, accommodation, I'm going to warn you, London's a very expensive city. You could go on hotel search websites such as Trivago and be shocked by the prices. You might find better things in Airbnb, and sometimes you can find some very good deals. So let's say I'm going to be a very smart traveler. I'm going to start picking out the best accommodations, so the best prices, so I can score something for $150. Now, daily expenses. To figure that out, you can use this website here, which is called budgetyourtrip.com. So let's search for our destination, London. Okay, so travel style, we could yeah, we could say it's a luxury trip, but really let's say mid-range. Okay, so the average price. Okay, it's giving me the currency in pounds right now. Let's change that over to Canadian dollars so we can understand it better. So average daily cost per person is $249. That's really high. But note that it also includes your accommodation right here. And it says hotel or hostel for one person, 156. Well, we're planning this for two people. So we're going to take this, okay, and we're going to separate the accommodation cost from it. So let's find the difference. 249 minus 156. Right? Yep. Okay, so really, we're looking more at $93 per person per day. Now we're two people, so we need to take this and multiply it by 2. Okay, so that's an expensive city, $186, and you'll see why. Okay, here are some average costs. Okay, how much money do I need in London for, let's say, grabbing some tea? Okay, having lunch at Starbucks, having a sushi dinner. And these are per person. But we're going to stick with that $93 we have multiplied by 2. Now, I put this other column in there if there are special excursions or, say, a concert, a show that you want to see. That's going to be in addition to your daily expenses, especially unless they're of pretty average price. But if it's a big expense, let's say, for example, you're doing some adventure tourism and you want to do zip lining. Okay, that can set you back about $100 per person, right? Or if I want to go to the Tower of London and do a special tour that they have on there, okay, that can be about $50 per person, right? So if that's about $50 per person, right, we can just say that's $100 on the first day. You're probably going to be too tired on the first day, so let's just put it over here, okay? And we're going to repeat these expenses for every day that we're in London. Now, London's very expensive, so we might only end up doing 3 days there. Okay, and just repeat this. All right, so we have London covered. So if you've done a little bit of research, you might say, you know what, I want to go to Bath. Okay, and maybe Bristol as well. So we'll do about a day or two or there. And then you want to go up north. All right, so you can go to Yorkshire. Okay, and then you know you want to do a few days in Scotland as well. So we have Edinburgh. Okay. Now, once again, let's do our research. Let's figure out what the typical costs are. Okay, so maybe Bath is a little bit more affordable. I can find a deal. Okay, 125. Maybe you find some deals in York as well. We'll say 110 if you're lucky. Edinburgh probably going to be about as expensive as London. So we've done some research, and those are typical accommodation costs right there. And now let's do our daily costs. Same thing, you can go right back and search for those destinations. So let's search for Bath. Okay, so average cost for mid-range in Canadian currency is pretty similar, a little less. So say 184, 184 minus $103. So $81 per person. Let's just take 81, multiply that by 2. Okay, those are daily expenses, 162, right? And let's assume that we also want to treat ourselves to a spa, okay? You do some research, and, you know, it works out to about $80 per person. So if it's $80 per person, then you are going to spend another $160, okay? All right, so how are we going to get to these places? We also need to look up typical prices for trains. So to do that, we're going to use Trainline. So go to Trainline. That's the EU one. Let's look for the UK Trainline. Okay, the Trainline. There we go. And let's search typical prices from London to Bath. We're just going to do a one-way. And even though this is not till August, I may not be able to search that far. Okay, so I can try searching for August 8th, but it's probably not going to work. And I might just be wasting my time. Let's say that we want to leave around 8:15. This is for 2 adults. Okay, so what are my options? All right, so that's the price in pounds. That's the cheapest that they're able to find. Okay, so we'll go with that. And no return ticket. So 66.20, and that's for 2 adults. So not too bad. You convert that to Canadian. That will be, I'll just use my converter. Okay, 66 pounds is about 110 Canadian dollars. And that's for 2 people. Okay, and then between Bath and York, we need to figure out our transportation, and then between York and Edinburgh. But we're just going to estimate these for now. So we'll say about another 100, and then maybe about another 100. Okay, and for York, that might be a little bit cheaper. Edinburgh, closer to London prices, 180, 180. Okay, so what else do I want to do during my trip? Well, I know I want to go to continental Europe as well. So let's say I want to go to Budapest. Let's see what I can find for Budapest. So we're going to go back to Google Flights. So this time we're going to do Edinburgh to Budapest. And the date that we want to do that for is August 14th. Okay, and just a one-way flight for 2 adults. So that's a pretty good price right there. I found $240. Now if I want to do an extra day in Edinburgh, let's move that to Tuesday. And notice I don't have that direct flight anymore. Okay, and this flight stops in Brussels and it's $303. So it's actually good that I'm leaving on Monday because that is one of the better prices. So $240 for 2 people is excellent. Okay, Budapest. And then the flight is Jet 2. Okay, and it's $240 for 2 people, but I know that's too good to be true because you're also going to have to pay for your baggage. So I'm going to add, just to be safe, about another $100 to that. Okay, and if you've done your research on Budapest, okay, you'll see what the typical prices are. So to find typical prices, you can go to Trivago. So for my 3 days that I want to go to Budapest, okay, 14th, 15th, 16th, let's look. Budapest. August 14th, check out on the 17th, and that'll be a double room. Okay, so these are some typical prices. I can obviously make that lower, so if I want to keep it cheaper, these are decent ratings. I can actually get decent stuff for around $100 a night. Okay, so let's put that in. Accommodation, 100, 100, 100 for 2 people. Daily expenses, You guys should know how to do this by now. So go to budget your trip. Let's look up Budapest. Let's put that into Canadian dollars. Okay, so 113 minus 67. Come on. Minus 67. That's per person. Much cheaper, eh? And that's why we like to travel to other countries, because you spend a lot less. Okay, and I know that after Budapest, so I want to go to France, because I know I can travel from Paris right back to London. Okay, so we got Paris. Okay, so just 2 days in Paris. I know that's very short. I'd recommend more. And then make sure you're in London for the next day, so you don't have to run to the airport from Paris. Okay, and then back to Toronto. Okay, so flight from Budapest to Paris. Let's look that up. So 17th for flight. Okay, so Thursday the 17th. Yeah, a little more expensive, $493. And then we're probably going to have to pay for luggage. Let's see what the difference is. Wow, okay, if I go on Friday, that's only going to be $236. It's also Ryanair. If I go on Wednesday, $283. So maybe I'll shorten my time in Budapest. Okay, and that's just what you have to do sometimes, right? I know 2 days in Budapest is not enough. You might say, you know what, I'm going to skip York. You can do that. Okay, you can readjust all these things. So now we're going to do Paris for 3 days, and I found the flight there. So on Wednesday, August 16th, $283 for 2 adults. That's Ryanair. They make you pay for everything. So expect to pay probably another $80 per person. So that's 283. Okay, plus 160. Okay, $443 for that flight. Okay, accommodation, if I'm smart, I can find some pretty good stuff in Paris for a decent price. Okay, daily expenses are going to be a bit higher. So we'll say about 160. Okay, and then finally, to London, we need to take a train there, or we can take a plane. Let's say I really want to take the Eurostar, and I look up some typical prices, and I can get something for about $100 per person. So 200, my London accommodation for 150, daily expenses 186. Okay, and all I have to worry about is my last day. So just taking the train back to the airport, and then take Air Transat. Oh, and I forgot to do this. Sorry. I also forgot in this column to add the transportation to the airport, but we can always add that in later, right? Okay, so our flight's already paid for, so we're really just going to include the train for about $40. Okay, and then let's say our taxi back home. It's another 40. So train, Air Transat, taxi. Okay. No accommodation. I'm not really going to worry about daily expenses. Not really going to worry about other. So do I want to throw any other just for the sake of example? Let's say I have something lined up special in Budapest. Maybe a concert I want to go to on there. Maybe not as expensive as London. So we'll say $80 to those 2 people to do that concert. Oh, and you're going to want to do something in Paris as well. Maybe go on a bateau mouche. Not that that's very expensive. Or maybe do like a special tour of Montmartre or whatever. So let's say we want to do something special. Put another $100. Oops, $100, not $199. $100. Okay. So now let's do a summary. Okay. So we have our summary of, okay, those are just for transportation. That's how much money we need. Okay, accommodation, that's how much money we need. Okay, daily expenses, that's how much we need. And then other expenses. Okay, whoops. Yeah, some. Okay. All right, so that will bring us our grand total. To that. So that's for 2 people. Okay, so to take this big 2-week European trip for 2 people, I need to have a budget, or my budget is about $8,200. It could be higher, could be lower. It really depends. That's why this document can be revised. But if once you're ready and you want to commit to it, book your transportation. Okay, so these are the prices I have for transportation. And then when you're ready, go ahead and book your accommodation. And then whatever you have in these 2 columns, that's stuff you don't have to worry about yet, do you? Right? Because you pay for that stuff once you're on your trip, or just a day or 2 or a week or whatever before you do a tour. Okay, so make sure you have this money up front right here. You have the money for your transportation and your accommodation. So we're going to call that prepayment. Okay, so our big European trip, yep. Okay, that's going to be our prepayment. All right, so I hope that you found this helpful. And if you need any other advice, you know that we're available for providing you personalized services on making an itinerary and budget for your upcoming trip. And remember, it can include multiple destinations. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please click subscribe and visit my website, itvi.ca. This is Tom from Independent Travelers. Thank you so much.